Hello everyone. I want to talk about seizures. My son hasn't had a seizure in more than 3 years now, but he started having seizures when he was 11. He had his first seizure and we didn't know why. We knew at that time we knew he was autistic, so we didn't know if it was related to autism and maybe possibly hormones during that time. But for 10 years, my son suffered from seizures. Most of the time, it was just one seizure every 3-4 months. Occasionally, he would have a seizure maybe once a month. For a short period of time, he had seizures for about once a month. I would say maybe about 6 months or so. And he rarely had a seizure back to back. I think twice he had a seizure, 2 seizures within a week. But during the course of the 10 years, we took him to the hospital maybe 12, 14, 16 times to find out why he was having the seizures. And the doctors, they ran all type of tests. Just all type of tests. What was it? EKGs, X-rays, MR tests, blood tests, and they could not find any cause of the seizures. They did not even suspect that our son had a peanut allergy. And over the years, I started figuring things out. I started noticing that he usually, when he did have a seizure, it was usually when we ran into extra money. Because when we run into extra money, we usually get extra goodies, extra sweets. We're out and about, we're eating all kind of junk food and things like that. And so I started noticing that, on the first of the month, he would have a seizure. That's when most of the seizures would happen. And not just on the first of the month, but usually it was like a few days after the first, the third, fourth, fifth day of the month. So after, I didn't know what to do. I was just trying everything. I would just eliminate different things from his diet. And first I thought it was what's that thing called? Gluten problem. At first I thought it was a gluten problem. So we went on a gluten diet. We both went on a gluten diet. And we both lost weight too. But, and I think that helped. I think that might have helped a little bit because I noticed the seizures were farther apart on his gluten diet. But when I eliminated peanuts, he stopped having seizures altogether. And I realized my son is allergic, not just peanuts, but he's allergic to everything in the nut family. We stay away from grains of all kinds. We don't even do rice that much anymore. And when we do, it's brown rice. And but it's not just rice by itself. It might be brown rice with roast beef, something like that, mixed in, or rice stew, something like that. But we don't even do rice very often because he's sensitive to grains and nuts. And I had, I kept hearing about the oil diet, what's that, olive oil diet, and coconut diet. Not the diet, but the cooking with coconut oil and olive oil. I didn't try the olive oil because I know that's in the nut family. Well, coconut is too, but I heard that some people mistaken coconut oil for peanut oil, or peanut, so some companies were buying olive oil and mistaking olive oil for peanut oil. And they were ending up cooking with the peanut oil, and my son, that could cause him to have a seizure. So that's another reason why we don't really go to restaurants. We don't really go to restaurants at all. And unfortunately, especially fast food restaurants. And I was going to name a few specific ones, but we don't go to fast food restaurants anymore. And there were a couple of them that I pretty much liked. The more upscale restaurants, we haven't been having a problem with them, like Golden Corral. So far, we haven't had any issues with purchasing all the food that they have at Golden Corral. And I think that's because they don't use peanut oil. And so I tried the coconut oil, because at the time I was thinking, well, maybe he's just allergic to peanuts. And he had his first seizure after 3 years. So that lets me know that. And after that happened, I did a little research, and I found out that it's rare for someone to be allergic to coconut oil, but it happens. It does happen, and I think if a person is allergic to peanut oil, it makes them more likely to be allergic to all the peanuts, all the nuts in the nut family, and which also includes chocolate. Now, chocolate might not be as much. Some peanuts and some nuts, like coconut, peanuts, almonds, cashews, some might be worse than others as far as my son having an allergic reaction, but they all do affect him. And so I do believe that this might be true with other people that's having seizures. If you're having seizures, check and see, eliminate peanuts from your diet. And, we basically have gone on a almost complete meat diet, except for some fruit and vegetables. We will have some fruit and vegetables and salads, things like that. But try eliminating grains from your diet. Oatmeal, peanuts, coconut, and see if that slows the seizures down or make them more mild seizures. See if that helps. And be careful about the restaurants you eat in. Some of the restaurants, they're very hesitant to tell you if they use peanut oil or not. And so, and if you can't find out if they cook with peanut oil or coconut oil, then you might want to stop going to those restaurants. But if you're having a problem with seizures, and as anyone that has witnessed someone that had a seizure, you see that it's a very scary thing. And the seizure itself is scary, but what's even more scary is that the person, if they're standing and they're about to fall. Because when you're free falling, and you're totally helpless at that time, and the way you fall, what you fall on, the fall itself could be worse than the seizure. And in fact, some cases it is. The fall is worse than the seizure. So if there's anything you want to, anything you can do to stop the seizures. And so, yeah, I just wanted to make a video because, after a couple of years, I just realized the doctors never even told me that was a possibility, that my son had a peanut allergy. And I don't want to call it a peanut allergy. I'm calling it a peanut allergy out of habit. But he has allergy to all nuts, coconut, almond, cashews, the whole 9 yards. So, and it just amazed me that of all the doctors and hospitals that we've taken him to, no one has even suggested that could be an issue, that could be the issue. And so now that I'm doing more research on it, I realize that a lot of people have peanut oil. I mean, the population might be small, but it's not uncommon for people to have a seizure because they're allergic to peanuts. And so, of course, we're finding out a lot more about it now. So whenever you can, do as much research, especially if you have someone in your family or someone you care about that have seizures. It could be peanuts.